funny how people do that. They see it at face value, like, oh, dog's sweet here.
Because she was
must be
playing with
sweet
Otto and these other two dogs that she knows at Freeps Park, which is her safe zone. That's that's her little safe place. So now this is the first Oz Park.
And this is Enrique.
Hi, Enrique.
We put on our website and on the forum, but we've been recording conversations and stuff.
Perfect.
So here with the not wanting to come out.
Yes.
Is she clipped to the harness? Is that for the car?
She is. She's in the harness with the leash.
Okay, because that's what gives her more leverage.
Okay.
Okay. So does she have a flat collar?
Yes.
Okay. Try clipping her just her flat collar. She's so scared she won't come out. In new places. You're more prepared than I am today. Right. Yes. I don't want her popping. I mean, she's not going to run anywhere.
Yeah.
But she won't get out the car. Right. Okay. So she really doesn't want to come out, right?
Yeah.
So, I know that's one issue. Any others? I think it was obedience, like recall type stuff.
Yes, the 10% that she doesn't listen is a bummer, and that's how my last dog was, and it wasn't a big deal, but I would like, number one, my priority is for her to feel safe.
Sure.
But the other one would be, I'd love for people to be like, man, that's a great dog.
Sure. So,
I'd like those 10% of the times when she's found a dead carcass in the woods, or if she's playing with another dog and I say it's time to go home.
Okay.
My last dog and I were friends. I would like to be faster.
Okay, sure. Oh yeah.
You know?
I know that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I tell people you can't be your dog's buddy and authority figure at the same time.
Correct.
You have to be one or the other. Doesn't mean you can't do buddy stuff with your dog. It's just you have control, right?
Yeah.
So this resistance coming out is not very common, but it's not so uncommon. Okay. A lot of dogs have resistance in one way or another. Some dogs, it's the owner's walking, and the dog just doesn't want to walk. Right? Which I think you said as well.
She's not great at walking now, so we went to the park this morning and then we walked with 3 dogs that she's friends with, because I love your training, because I love the power of the pack. So it got her to walk around the block and go a little bit because her friends were with her.
Sure.
But then as soon as we got close to home, they started veering one way and she just wanted to go home.
Right.
So it's good that she can walk. She walked, so she didn't walk the first maybe week or 2 that I had her. Then the next week or 2, I could coax her into walking a couple blocks. And then now she's on a hard stop again. When I'm at my parents' house in the suburbs, quiet streets, no sidewalks, very rare car and people sighting, she will walk.
Yeah, easier. So I had a case, they actually live in like the River North Gold Coast area. Almost exact same issue, except without the car stuff. But they had to go the same route every day. Otherwise the dog would not walk.
Yes.
Now she walks forever. Okay, so that part's actually easy. All this stuff is actually easy with the training methods that we use.
Awesome.
Like here, I can make her come out the car, but it's going to be a lot of bucking and barking.
Yeah.
Okay? And yes, the dog can progress past that without the training tools, but it's harder for the owner. So like one thing that I saw, and this is just as FYI, is when you were trying to, the harness, right? You remove the harness, put on the flat collar, but it was more so coaxing than it was like, just get out the car. Okay.
Yeah.
So I go, and I know the dog's gonna buck around and all that stuff, and I just use physical force and come out, and then I keep repeating that back and forth.
Sure.
So the dog goes, okay, I don't have an option.
So you take her right out, put her right back in,
Correct.
right out. Okay.
Because that's when the brain is sensitive.
Sure.
Most people do, we're here, we pop out, we're away for 30 minutes, and we pop back in, and then it's the same process going back,
Right.
Because you just reset. So when you get the brain to do it the first time, it's kind of softened up a bit, and I just keep repeating, right?
Yeah.
And eventually they're popping in and out.
Yeah.
And then I go, okay, cool, we're gonna let them rest, and then try again like in 30 minutes.
Okay.
Right? And then you might see a little resistance, but it should be much easier because you're building up what you happened to achieve before.
Yeah.
Right? And that's if you're trying to force it to happen.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong, it's just like what's gonna work in the moment.
Yeah.
So you're wearing a UD collar.
Yes.
Yeah, right, because those Otto.
Otto and Roxy and Shadow, they're all.
And then have you met Nash?
I have not, but I've heard about Nash. Nash is your success
part
story.
Of that, that's part of that group.
Part of that little group, yeah.
That I've trained as well. So I was wondering, I was like, oh, this
no, I still just, so I usually, she, the other thing too, and I think I mentioned that she is up wonderful from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. because then I usually have to go to work. So from 5 to 8, she shines.
Sure.
We usually see Otto around 6, then other friends come at 7, and around 8 I say, okay, let's go out for breakfast and go to work.
Wow.
So, and then she, in the middle of the day, will only, my apartment building has a front door, and right next to the front door is like a little fenced-in garden. She'll run to the garden or run just to the curb here and go pee and then go right back to the front door.
Sure.
No walking in the middle of the day, no going to the park to see her friends in the middle of the day. We can sit on the back deck, and we can sit like on the front stoop or in the garden, and then not until maybe close to sunset when it's calmed down a little bit outside does she feel comfortable to go back to the park and see her friends.
Gotcha. Okay. So, is there anything else about her that I need to know or that you're trying to address?
Yesterday, she's never shown aggression, and yesterday my girlfriend brought her 2-year-old golden retriever over.
Sure.
And this is a dog that I've known for 2 years. I watch when my girlfriend goes out of town or has long days at work.
Okay.
So I'm connected with this animal, and she was aggressive when I was loving Magnolia.
What happened?
She snapped. And she tried to pick a fight with Magnolia, and Magnolia is a little alpha, so then she snapped back,
Sure.
and so we had to pull them apart physically.
So like, were you petting Magnolia and then she came over to like intervene?
And she does that at the park with her friends. She'll stand in between me and others. If I'm petting Otto or someone, she'll come over and just be like, "Mom,
Sure.
come on." But she's never been aggressive about it. It's more like funny. But yeah,
So it's not funny.
It's not funny. Yeah, no, she and Magnolia got it, and then they were fine the rest of the day. They were together another 2 hours or whatever. But it was not great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when we look at behavior, or when I look at behavior, I look at it in relation to humans. Okay, they get nervous, we get nervous. They get scared, we get scared. They get anxious, we get anxious. Right?
Yeah.
Same response.
Sure.
They can become aggressive. We can become aggressive. Right? For me, that context isn't out of the ordinary. Doesn't mean you can't address it.
Right.
Okay. But before it was funny, like you said.
Right.
Until there's a context where it's like, oh, hey, I didn't think it was going to escalate, and that's how things progress.
Yeah.
Okay. So I always tell people, you can't read it as if they're cute little fuzzy teddy bears that do these things, and if something happens, it's like, it's a freak accident, right? They're creatures, like they have emotions and all that stuff, emotional responses. So for whatever reason with Magnolia, she just decided like, no, right, and started to escalate, which, as you saw with Magnolia, decided to correct back essentially, and can potentially escalate to a bigger issue, right? So when it comes to stuff like that, I just eliminate that behavior completely.
Yep.
I don't want to allow it anymore because you don't know when is going to be the time that she's going to want to escalate.
Correct.
Right?
Yep.
So I just assume, okay, I've seen this once, I'm just going to play it safe and just address this all the time. Okay? She really shouldn't care. If you're petting Otto and she's standing over there, she just keep standing over there.
Just keep saying, right.
Right? That's how it should be, just indifferent. Otherwise, you get these issues. Okay? So that's actually not too much of a big problem to address. Any questions for me before I kind of explain everything, or?
No, I don't think so. No, I just want you to know, she's exposed to different areas. I'm out in the suburbs with her quite a bit. I go to that Lakewood dog park in Wakanda.
First time I've done a consultation with the dog.
Without the actual dog. She's really good. She's really sweet. It's just these little things that I'd like to correct for her. Like, she deserves better.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's not healthy, right? Because clearly she's in there because of some kind of emotional distress.
Right. Yeah. And now she used to hate the car, and now she loves going for car rides.
Sure.
So she can overcome these things with work. I think the extra help would be good for her.
Sure. So when we use remote collar, the progression is actually much quicker because it's the only tool, in my opinion, that can make the dog think they're doing something. Okay. So the remote collar is like a disconnect in the sense that she doesn't know it's coming from us.
Oh.
Right? It's completely out of nowhere.
Sure.
For the dog. So what we do here is the concept of pressure on, pressure off. Okay. I use it for behavior work. I use it for obedience training. Everybody wants to shut off the something, right? If you're in a situation where you feel emotionally distressed, you want to somehow find your way out of that situation so that you can just relax, right? Same thing if something's happening physically, right? And you're hurting, you want to, if you touch a hot stove, you immediately retract, right? So think of discomfort as pressure, okay? So when I train dogs, what makes the training reliable is that we're using something, okay? Because the dogs don't overshoot at all.
Sure.
And it's not that we're wanting the dog to go around the up and south, but I need it to be enough that the dog goes, hey, I really don't like this.
I want to end this.
I want to end it, right?
sensation. Yeah.
So I really wish we would have filmed Nash's first 2 sessions because
Okay.
he was so crazy when I
I've
met
heard
him.
from the group.
Yeah.
Like that you almost wouldn't even believe it.
Yeah. And I didn't touch him at all.
Okay.
I maybe touched Nash for training a total of 2 minutes. That was not even related to me walking stuff.
Okay.
But they were able to do it because of pressure. So with the e-collar, it allowed us to override Nash and his desire to just do whatever he wanted, right? Because he was like, man, this is uncomfortable, how I turn it off. And then I was guiding the owners to teach them how to turn it off, right?
Yeah.
So whenever the dog does something I don't want, or I need him to do something, we apply pressure. Once the dog complies, we remove pressure. And the dog goes, oh, okay, if I do this, when I feel this in this context, it goes away.
Yeah.
Okay. In my opinion, it's the best way to train a dog or any animal because, again, they want to shut off discomfort.
Right.
If you're using food...
Oh, they're fine. No, they're fine. My dog's in the car, but don't worry, she's
Yeah.
not coming out. Yeah.
If you use food to try to lure the dog out, right, and the dog is more uncomfortable about leaving than it cares about the food,
Yeah.
you got nothing. And if you remove the food, the dog will care.
Now that would also probably set her off, just FYI.
Sure.
Dogs barking far away. It depends what they're saying and how they're
You
saying it.
mentioned she was running you.
She can do. We could be 3 blocks away from home and hear the dog. She just wants to run home.
Sure. And then when you mentioned, I think in the consultation, you said, I'm not sure if it's fear or obedience when she runs to you.
Right.
It's fear.
Okay.
Right? She's looking for a security blanket.
Yeah.
And that's you.
Yeah.
Which isn't a bad thing in the sense of like if something scares her, you'd want the dog to run to you as opposed to run away.
Well, one time we were at the park and she ran home to the front door across Webster.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that too.
Yeah. And that was once, but every other time I've gotten better. Now, unfortunately, she doesn't have a single stimulant or a single trigger. I have not. Kids and strollers are tough for her, and then sometimes it's fine. But like kids and strollers are really consistent. But it could be you, it could be you, it could be that person walking. It's not a person, a color, a gender. There's nothing in particular that sets her off. Like I thought at first it was men. It's not. It's just fine with my dad. Like it's just stuff, so I try to look for it. So now there's been like maybe 2 other times that she could have run home, but I had already grabbed her before.
Sure.
And so to prevent that, but the one time she really did.
Sure.
Yeah.
So when we get dogs like this that are weak energy or insecure,
Okay.
People tend to want to stay away from aversives or like consequences because they don't want to make the dog more scared. Right? And that's a yes or no answer. If you play it incorrectly, you can make matters worse. But when you play it correctly, you actually build confidence.
Right.
Okay. So like other dogs bite each other when they raise their puppies
Yep.
and stuff. They bite them and all that. That's how they toughen each other up to handle the stress of life. So then when I get dogs like this with e-collar, it's essentially my means of biting the dog at the press of a button.
Yeah.
Right. But there's no conflict.
Right.
Right. If I use conflict, like get out the car. Right. That energy is actually what creates more emotional distress,
Right.
as opposed to me just leashing her up and then dragging her out, right? Because if you ever see me doing anything, I'm always neutral,
Yes.
or in a certain assertive state, right? I adjust my assertiveness according to the dog, right? So if I need to really lead to get her to come out, I'll do so. But if she's doing something I disagree with and I need to confront her on it, I'll still be assertive, but I don't have to dial it back because the dog is too insecure. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
So it's like
totally.
there's a bunch of stuff involved, but e-collar makes it really simple because you just press the button.
Right.
Okay. Once she understands that she cannot, that resistance or shutdown or not moving aren't options, that's when the dog opens up. Okay. Because right now she's using shutdown.
I would say I love that term. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So she's going, I don't want to go out because this is scary to me.
Yeah.
Right? So with the e-collar, let's say I start to pull her out, she's going to buck back, right? Like she did.
Yeah.
If I'm using e-collar, I don't need physical force anymore. So I do enough where I hit resistance and my e-collar goes 0 to 127
Okay.
in increments of 1. So it'd be 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, right? I'm just putting more pressure and I'm trying to direct her to come out. Eventually, this physical pressure becomes overwhelming that she goes, what's more uncomfortable, the thought of coming out the car or this physical thing that I feel right now?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So I can override her mentally and eventually maybe I hit 65, she goes, fine, and she pops out.
Okay.
Pressure turns off. And she goes, oh,
That was it?
that was it, right?
Yeah.
And then I lead her back in again.
Sure.
I dip back down, I try again. Maybe I only have to go to 15 because
Right.
now the brain's sensitive. And at the tap of a button, boop, and she's just going in and out.
Just doing it.
Right? But you need, so when she goes into resistance and the collar kicks in, she's thinking, the more I fight this, the stronger this gets.
Right.
Right? So what happens if I just give up and move with this? Everything goes away. And she goes, oh, that wasn't that big of a deal. Right? That's how you build confidence. People see the emotional distress and the bucking and bronking and the alligator rolling and stuff like that. They go like, oh my God, you're like making the dog worse.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, the dog's panicking.
Yeah.
It's fine. But if you don't get them to the other side, they never know that it's going to be okay.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So once we get that, like this part is easy. The walking and all that stuff is easy because again, it's just about pressure.
Well, and like this morning, she walked because she was with White Decker and Tilly. So she was great because she was with her friends and she felt safe. But heaven forbid, mom tried to go alone. And my last dog could walk for hours. It was all she liked. She didn't even like to play with friends.
Sure.
So I like walking. I mean, selfishly, I like walking, and I know it's good for her. So I don't want a dog that
no,
won't walk.
you're not doing anything bad for her by wanting to walk her
Yeah.
stuff, right? So once you get her over that hump, right? So when I worked with that couple in Gold Coast, I told them for this week, keep it on the path that you know.
Right.
To make it easier for you for training. Okay. Then when we came back the second week and everything was going good, she was spot on. She was walking with them. I said, now, when you go out, you're going to start branching out to different areas.
Right.
Once you master that area, go to another one. Once you master that area, go to another one. So eventually, they broke out her comfort zone so much that they just go anywhere now.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So in the beginning, you have to expose her, work her through it, and then once you feel like, hey, this is easy for her now, new spot, right?
Yeah.
How is she, like for instance, I'm trying to think where a busy, like a lot of traffic type.
She's fine. My old dog knew the command car, like which meant like, hey, you could get hit right now. You need to start listening to me.
Sure.
I haven't even gotten there with Luna yet because I'm never gonna. So my last dog was off leash. Luna, I don't think ever will be until we can get the e-collar thing for that would be another thing. But I just so far it hasn't been an issue to be around busy traffic. She's not really scared of cars. The other crazy thing is probably good for you to know: not scared of thunderstorms or firecrackers.
Sure.
Because
inside or outside or both?
Both. She'll walk in thunderstorms.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know,
she's scared of everything else, but the storms are
right.
okay.
It's not out the ordinary. Like every dog has their own quirks, just like with humans.
It's great.
You know?
I can't believe I got that. So that's great.
So the this to me is pretty simple. Okay. The trickiest thing would just be if you're petting a dog and she wants to be involved. Is because when you correct her, she'll most likely want to come here and learn because of the correction.
Right.
Okay. And when we have to teach her, is the correction actually meant not
just do whatever you're doing.
So that's the only reason why that's tricky. Okay. And actually, I had a client yesterday that told me the exact same thing.
Okay.
I trained their dog back in February, and then they saved the class for like the summer.
Okay.
And I saw them yesterday, and everything's going great. But then they were camping, and they said, because their dog's a resource starter.
Okay.
So they were having issues with when someone would show up with their dog and they would pet them, their dog would run in between, just the same way as Luna would, and then snap.
Okay.
So then I told him the same thing. You just correct your dog so that he doesn't care whose dog you're petting.
Right.
Okay. So when it comes to behavior and things that we don't want, it's simply just a consequence to stop it. So correctional work is very simple in most cases. It's when like there's underlying issues, like if the dog is very, very human aggressive due to fear. Stopping the aggression is easy because it's just don't bite people.
Right.
It's working the fear that's the hard part, right? So that stuff is simple. Coming out the car is simple. The locking up when you walk is simple. Okay. Obedience. I don't want you to think that obedience is the answer because it's not. For that, it's pressure. The pressure that we're putting behind the obedience is what's going to help her move through things. So like with the leash walking exercise with heel, I expect her to put resistance and put the brakes on and not want to walk because it's a new environment, but because we're going to need to make her walk because of the e-collar, it's going to fix the problem anyways. Okay? In terms of control, I know we need leash walking, we need recall. Did you hear something about, or read something about going to the patio with her?
Oh, I just took her to her first patio yesterday.
Sure,
and she did
go?
Old Cable Cantina. Great because Magnolia was there to lay down and she could feed off Magnolia's energy, which, you guys are fine, don't worry.
Okay.
Which is ironic because they had their tip before, but then they were fine, like I said, they were fine after. And then we went just to see because I had two of my girlfriends over, and so I said, if Luna doesn't make it, I'll just walk her home. It's not a big deal. So
Sure.
like she actually stayed. We had a margarita. It was great. Like she could do it.
Sure.
I would just like to be able to bring her everywhere.
Yeah.
And be able to do things. I'm going to my cousin's summer home on the first weekend of August, and I'm for right now thinking like maybe I'll stay overnight.
Sure.
It'd be great to know I can take Luna for the weekend.
Sure.
But I just don't know how she's going to be, and with my cousin's kids, she's not aggressive towards children, but if she's just scared and in a bedroom or something, that's not good for her.
Right.
So I just leave, and I don't want to have to leave, and I would like to be able to bring her to Florida. Like, I'd like her just to be able to do things with me. I'm selfish. I want her there.
Sure. No, I don't think you're being selfish. I mean, you got a dog. And,
Right.
you know, what you're wanting is not out of the ordinary. Like, I get selfish would be, like, for instance, I had a client tell me she didn't like when her dog sniffed other dogs' butts. And I said, that's what dogs do.
That's what they do.
Yeah, so, like, for me, that was being selfish.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
You're not being selfish.
No, I would like her to sit politely when every dog at the park is getting a treat and wait her turn, but she's a 6-month puppy, so we're getting there.
Oh, it doesn't
That's
matter.
an easy one. Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like, because when people, like, because they're puppies and will excuse a lot of stuff, I go, no, you can teach you right off the bat, 2 months.
Yeah.
But people have a misconception that they're like little infants.
Mm-hmm.
And infants have no motor skills, right? We take a very long time to develop.
Yeah.
Whereas puppies, as young as 3 to 4 weeks, they're dominating each other, they're biting each other, they're establishing rules and boundaries. The mom's nipping and biting at them. Yeah, this starts really young.
Yeah. So she should be better at that. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's because the human doesn't
Thinks of her
think
as
like
a
that,
puppy. Yeah.
Right? So, like, when I get puppies, most people think they should run around and be puppies, barking and yipping and, chewing and biting. And I go, if you let them.
Right.
But I know if another dog came in and disagreed with that behavior, they would bite them.
Yeah.
And they would be done. So my puppies are home puppies because I correct them. I'm very strict. I hold them to the same standards as I would to an adult dog, behaviorally.
Good girl, Luna. Is that wrong to say good girl?
No, you're fine. I mean, she popped out, right?
Good girl.
Only took her, 20, 30 minutes?
Good girl.
So like, that stuff's simple.
Okay.
So really what it comes down to is how much control you're wanting. You fall into a couple of categories. So I have 6, 9, and 12-week programs. The 6-week program.
Come on, Apollo. Come on. That's big.
With the 6-week program, it's 1 day a week for an hour. You get leash walking down, recall down, the car thing down, and then I would gamble a class just for maybe the variable of locking up places, right?
Yeah.
The 9-week program, you get all that stuff, walking, recall, just shut down behaviors, and then stationary control, which is like lay down, don't move for a period of time.
I like that, yeah.
The 12-week program is all that stuff, but we build it to off-leash reliability. Okay. Now, recall, whether you do 6, 9, or 12-week programs, the goal is
You're
always
up,
to.
Now that dog barking, now she wants to go back to the car. Yeah.
We always push for recall to be off-leash reliable.
Yeah.
Okay, because that's the one command that has to be off-leash
yeah,
reliable,
okay.
right? So regardless of 6, 9, or 12-week programs, we're always aiming for that. The owner, of course, has to do the homework.
Yes.
Recall does take the longest for the owner to get done because it requires you to go somewhere to practice with your dog over time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So I try to get that in as early as possible. Like typically by the 3rd class, we're teaching recall.
Yeah.
So the owner can start practicing right away.
Yep.
But more often than not, usually by the end, like if they do 6 classes, they're like, we're still working on it because we can only go twice a week. And I go, it's perfectly fine. You have the tool set.
Right.
You just need the repetitions and the practice and the ability, to go there to practice to go to 10.
And how do you do that with the long leash and
Correct.
the
We use a long 30-foot leash.
Okay.
So I would, depending on how Luna progresses, the first 2 classes would be leash healing.
Okay.
That'll most likely resolve all the walking problems. Okay.
Yeah.
If the car thing is an issue, that might be just like half a class or something, and we'll teach something else. Okay.
Sure.
The next thing would be recall as soon as we can get it in.
Yep.
And then we start switching off to other topics, but you're still working on recall on your own time.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
So the way I look at it is a 6-week program is I walk my dog and I go to the dog park, right? 9-week is I walk my dog, I go to the dog park, and I go to restaurants. And 12-week is I do all that stuff and I go hiking.
Yes.
I want my dog completely off leash. I want heel off leash, I want recall off leash, I want lay down the move off leash, then that's the longest program.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think she's a 12er.
Okay.
I would feel comfortable. I want her to be really good.
Sure.
I want her to have the best, I hope she lives a long time and I hope she has a great fun life where she can do all those things. So we can go hiking and go to mountain.
What is she mixed with?
No idea. I her DNA test should come back hopefully any day now.
Because I feel like I see a little bit of Pyrenees.
Yep. I thought at first Great Pyrenees Aussie. I've been thinking Whippet lately because she does those big bursts of energy followed by a real 17-day period, like a resting period.
That's normal for puppies.
Oh, okay.
The zoomies?
Not as zoomy-ish, but just she wants to go back to her car. But like playing with her friends, and then she'll sleep while I work. But people are like, "Oh God, isn't she so annoying while you work?" And I'm like, "No, she's napping."
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
She sleeps all day.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't know, and I think some kind. She does herd, and it's fine. I've been working on it with her. She'll nip, and it's not. Sometimes every now and then it hurts a little bit if she gets like the tip of your nose or your ear.
Sure.
But she does herd.
Okay. Sure.
Every now and then. So whatever that is, whichever herding breed she ends up being. And she likes to hug and kiss. So she'll hug and then kiss, and then sometimes just nip while she's kissing. But then I don't let her do it, and her command is off when she does it to someone else. And I know I shouldn't let her do it to me, but
no, so you can teach her not to do it to others, but she can do it with you. We just have to correct when she applies it to other people.
Yes.
Okay, and we'll cover that stuff as well.
Okay.
It's again, correction stuff is very simple. Okay. How much does she weigh?
Probably like 40 pounds. Last time I went to the vet, she was 40, but she could be a little more than that now.
Yeah, I don't think unless she has a growth spurt.
And I thought she was going to with the Pyrenees, but I feel like she might be done. She was 30 when I got her, so I don't know that she's got another 5 or 10 in her.
She's got a little. If she did get bigger, I would probably say 60 pounds total.
Oh yeah, max. Yeah.
But I kind of feel like she's at her size. Yeah. Okay. Anything else? Any other questions?
Next steps, and then things I would need to buy, or if you guys sell them, you have affiliates or whatever, how to get set up.
So for the collar, does she need Maria will reiterate all the stuff too.
Okay, great.
But the collar she need is for 70-pound dogs and under.
Okay.
It runs about 287 with tax.
Great.
It's fully waterproof, 3/4 mile range, so plenty of range for the standard family pet. Lasts a really long time. I've had mine for like 8 years.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, so it's a really good. It's the best brand in my opinion.
Okay, great.
We've been meeting here with people.
Okay.
Because of COVID, we've had to make the most out of my time.
Sure.
If people come to us here, it's a great distracting environment.
Yeah.
We got plenty of space to do recall and social distance.
Yep.
And then for the people, now I'm not touching the dog. I just coach the owner.
Okay.
Okay, and e-collar makes this doable. So Melissa was my first with Nash.
Oh, okay.
Was my first like social distance dog training client.
Sure. Oh, there's McDonald's over here. Okay, come on.
And yeah, they got it, as you can see, with Nash, no problem.
Right.
And we've had several other people have great results. You know, there is homework, of course, but the exercises are very simple. Okay. You do get 2 complimentary Zoom sessions with your program.
Okay.
So any stuff inside the home, or if you just have any just general questions, instead of using them, like using time in person to answer questions, we just do it over Zoom. Okay. So you get the most out of the in-person stuff. In terms of the cost of the programs, the total is $1,550. Part of your consultation fee does get credited towards the program cost.
Probably bad that I'm enabling her, that I'm letting her.
But this is fine. Once we start training, we start to get more strict.
Right.
Okay.
Yes, correct me. I'm the problem.
Yeah, but right now with what you have, like there's very little you can do to kind of communicate with her because her brain's just kind of very distracted. Now she's like chewing on. Other than that, it's really just a form that you fill out, a training form.
Okay.
And then she gets you scheduled in. We're slowly opening up my week, so it was Saturday and Sundays first, then they got filled up. Now it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and I think Fridays is now filling up. So then we're opening to another day.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So just so that because the days I'm not training them at the facility, and I do pick up and drop off from my daycare.
Okay.
So like I'm doing a lot of jobs right now.
I did want to ask a question about your daycare because I of course stalked you and watched all the videos.
Sure.
We are not crate training.
Sure.
So that's the only thing I wanted to say.
Okay.
just space-wise in my place, I've got a 1,200 square foot apartment, and I don't mind dogs on furniture. So for her, it just, and she was so scared when I got her. I knew I shouldn't have given into it, but I was just like, you know what, we're not going to do a crate.
Sure.
She's great without it. Her safe space is actually my bed. Like if things get too loud or too noisy, or if I'm on a work call and she'd rather be quiet, she'll move from like her bed over to my bedroom. You know, she just kind of puts herself away from it. But like yesterday, I wish when she was tired with Magnolia, she would go there. And she really didn't. She kept like playing and instinct or whatever. So I did want to say that because I've noticed with your daycare how well everyone is in their crates.
Yeah, it's very quiet, very structured. Crates, in my opinion, are it's healthy to crate train dogs because they're dangerous animals. But also, like, should you ever need her to stay with someone, maybe they need to crate her. Or if you take her to a daycare boarding facility, they'll need to crate her.
That's my only concern is when I travel with my parents are the number one. They're already obsessed with her. I am worried about my mom following the program. She was like, well, I just meet with Jessie before you commit. And I was like, Mom, I'm doing it.
Right.
She does not like bee collars. She's one of those. She doesn't think you should do that to a dog. And I'm like, Mom, it's good for Luna. So why don't you just chill?
Correct.
So I'm worried about my mom getting the behaviors down. But that's fine. It's my dog.
So what happens, because you're not the first person, you're not going to be the last person with that issue, is if she doesn't follow with the program, it's not going to cause Luna to digress.
Okay, good.
Okay, because it's going to be associated to you. If your mom does follow through the training, then it transfers over to your mom as well. Okay.
Good.
So like, I've worked with plenty of couples with the parents like spoil the dog and stuff like that, and they don't want to reinforce the training. And I'll tell them that's fine, but just tell them they can't complain when the dog doesn't listen, right? Because they're not following through with what they're supposed to do.
According to my mom, she's so good she doesn't even need training.
It's a very common thought because people go by good dog, friendly.
Right.
Why do they need training? Like, well, they can run away just like any other dog. You know.
Oh, and I did want to mention, speaking of that, her recall at the dog park in Wakanda is terrific. It's like a 60-acre field park, and when she's playing with friends, Luna, come. When she's doing stuff or she meets friends and they're running and they're playing through the field in the grass, I will purposefully walk away and remove myself, and she does a thing where she can't see me sometimes, she can find me, and if I call, she comes. So that's good. But then we're at the dog, there's a wooded section of it. I don't know if we've ever been there, it's lovely. But there's a wooded section, and she found like a mud pit in the middle of the woods. Off the trails through the woods, she went in and found it, and she was not coming. So it's like she does one thing really, really well, and you're like, God, my dog is, people are like, wow, she's so well behaved. And I'm like, thanks. And then the mud pit.
Correct, yeah. And I mean, and that's why I try to bring up to people their attention is, yes, your dog's great, but what happens with a squirrel, a rabbit, a mud pit, you know, you don't know what it's going to be. And then maybe you didn't want her to go in the mud pit, right? And then
Certainly not.
So, yeah, it's all normal stuff. So,
say hi.
Any other questions?
No, Maria's going to say, I noticed, I know because Otto has his, puppet collars.
Sure.
Do you do that in conjunction?
If needed. I don't think you're going to need it here.
Okay.
Yeah. And they brought Otto with the pinch. So that was more so down.
He's just such a good dog. He's kind of my standard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's funny because Otto's a little nervous Nelly.
That's what Quentin said, because I didn't know how to even deal with a steer. I think maybe I could do aggression training. Fear training is just like, I don't know. But no, it's what Quentin said. Quentin's like, no, Otto was terrified. I was like, what?
Yeah. Nervous.
He's just so good. Yeah.
No, excellent. That means they followed, because I remember when I first started working with them, it was a little difficult in the beginning because they didn't understand like why is this supposed to help them?
Right.
You know, because another dog wouldn't just tolerate it; they would just bite it.
They would just say no.
You know,
right? Yeah.
So then, once they accepted that thought process, they really progressed with Otto. And I see him from time to time over here too.
Oh, he's such a good dog. He listens to everything they say. Yeah, he's just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, like even if they're playing fetch, he just wants, Quentin's like, oh, just drop your ball, and then he doesn't. Quentin's like, drop it. Oh my God, he's just so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's BBB color.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No.
So nothing else ordinary here.
Okay.
Very simple stuff in my book.
Great.
Maria will get in contact with you. She'll reiterate everything I said. She'll give you to make a model for the collar that you're going to need.
Okay.
And then once you're confirmed, I'll follow up with you with an email with some videos that's going to prep you for the first training session, so that you can come in and be ready to go.
Okay.
And we don't waste time like just talking about little,
Great.
like
Yep.
putting the collar on.
Okay, awesome.
Anything else?
30-foot leash, Amazon pet stores?
Yeah. 30-foot leash, Amazon.
Okay.
8 to 12 bucks, nothing fancy.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
So get that and then the collar. We're going to send the collar.
Correct.
Okay.
And then,
in the meantime, can I continue to walk her on harness? Would you prefer I get
Oh, yeah.
this collar? I mean,
Yeah, no, I was just wanting to see if you try to pull her out,
Okay.
if putting her on a flat collar would be more advantageous to you.
okay.
But continue doing what you've been doing. It's not going to make things harder
Okay.
once we start training.
Okay.
It's going to be
It's fine. Okay.
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 Awesome. It was a pleasure.
Thank you
And if
so
you need anything
much.
else, let us know.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much.
See ya.
All right. Thanks, Jesse.